Boulton is Australia's most respected exit strategy advisor and CEO of the Exit Strategy Group. Welcome to this week's segment.
You know, most business owners think that selling the business is actually a sprint, but reality is it takes a long time. A long time. Just use your imagination. Just imagine you're in a race. You know, it's the sound of the starter gun, you know, all the blood gets flowing and you leap forward out of the blocks. Within a few seconds, you're right there at top speed. A few more seconds later, and your eye's actually searching for the next hand with the baton. And then you feel the baton move out of your hand and it's passed to the next runner, and your brain tells you that all the pain's over. You start jogging, slowing down, smile, knowing you've done your best, and now all the heavy lifting's on someone else's shoulders. And you know what? That's an analogy and probably how most people think of starting and selling a business. And it's something akin to that 4 by 100 metre relay race. You start from scratch, you build something valuable, you measure the time in months instead of years, and you sprint into the waiting arms of some great strategic buyer as they willingly acquire your business and pay you millions of dollars. They hand over the check, so to speak, and you ride off into the sunset. But you know what? Unfortunately, the process of selling your business looks more like an exhausting 100-mile ultra-marathon than a 100-metre sprint. It takes years and a lot of planning to make a clean break from your company, and it just means that it really pays to start planning sooner rather than later. So here's a way that you can actually backdate your exit. Backdate, whether that's actually selling or whether in fact that's passing on to somebody else in the family, although that might be slightly different. But take these steps. Just grab a pen and paper and write these down. Step 1, pick your eject date, which I colloquially think is a really interesting way to describe it. So when are you going to eject yourself from the business? First steps to figure out when you want to be completely out of your business. The day that you walk out of the building and you're never going to come back. Maybe you have a dream, you want to sail around the world. I don't know, you might have kids, and while they're still young enough to be able to take them with you. Maybe you want to go and live in Tuscany for a few years with your own private vineyard. Whatever your goal is, the first step is writing down when you want it out, when you actually want out, and jotting some notes as to why that date's important to you. What you're going to do after you sell, with whom, and why. Those are really key points. Very important to figure that out. Step 2 is to estimate the length of your earn-out. You know, when you sell your business, the chances are that you're going to be paid in 2 or more stages. You'll get the first payment when the sale and the deal closes, and the second at some point in the future, if you hit certain goals that are set by the buyer. And the length of your so-called earn-out will depend on the kind of business you're in. But the average earn-out these days is 3 years. If you're in a professional services business, it could be as long as 5 years. One of the people that I interviewed for my next book is in that exact situation where she's hooked into the business on milestones that have to be reached over 3 years. So think about that, and you know, if you're in a manufacturing or technology business, you might get away with something less, like a 1-year transition period, and on the odd occasion you might just be lucky enough to be able to say, that's it, no time, I'm not staying, and you do get out of the business. But that's not generally the case. You usually have to stay in there for a little while. So think about the time that could take. It could be, you know, 1 to 5 years. Step 3, calculate the length of the sale process. So the next thing is to figure out how long it's going to take you to be able to negotiate the sale of your company. The process is definitely going to involve hiring an intermediary, and depending on the size of your business, it could be a mergers and acquisitions professional, it could be an investment banker, or at the very least, a business broker. You're going to have to put together a marketing package for the business. It's going to have to be shopped to potential acquirers. You're going to host management meetings. You'll have letters of intent that you're going to have to negotiate. And then potentially you're going to go through what could be a 60 to 90-day due diligence period. So from the day that you hire an intermediary to the day that you actually get money in your account for your business, the entire process usually takes 6 to 12 months without fail. So to be safe, just budget on a year in terms of the timing that that's going to take you. And step 4 is to create your, what I call, in quotes, strategy stable operating window. So what do I mean by that? You need to budget some time to operate your business without making any major strategic changes. A buyer's going to want to see how your business has been performing under its current strategy so that they can accurately predict how it's going to perform under their ownership. Ideally, it would be great if you could give them 3 years of operating results, which shows that you've made no changes to your business model. So they're able to take that and know that over time, in the future, they'll be able to run the business on the same basis without seeing any enormous changes that have occurred over the last few years from their perspective. So if you plan on making some strategic changes to your business, add 3 years from the time you make those changes in terms of having a track record that you can show provides stable revenue and profit results. So the last step, figuring out when to sell, is when you need to start the process. So let's say you want to be in Tuscany enjoying the good life by the time you're 50. You budget for a 3-year earnout, which means you need to close the deal by the age of 47. Subtract a year from that date to account for the length of time it takes to negotiate a deal. So now you need to hire your intermediary by the time you're 46. Then let's say you're still tweaking your business model, experimenting with different target markets, channels, and all sorts of different things. And so in this case, you need to lock in one strategy by age 43 so that a buyer can look at 3 years of operating results. Now, it would certainly be nice to make a clean, crisp break from your business after an all-out sprint, but really, for the vast majority of businesses, the process of selling a company can be a really muddy, emotional, and multi-year effort. So the sooner you start getting your business ready, the better.
If you don't have a copy of Kerry's new book, The Uncensored Truth About Exit Strategies, please visit freeexitstrategybook.com.au.